Hello, everybody. Hope you're doing fantastic. Well, it's Connor here, and we are back with the Rumour Mill. Get your coffee, your tea, your wine, wherever you are in this beautiful place that we call planet Earth, and we are here to divulge. We're here to delve. We're here to analyse. We're here to talk about absolutely everything Leeds United, and we're talking outgoings today. We're talking incomings. So make sure you're hitting that like button. Make sure you're hitting that subscribe button if you're not already, and make sure you're clicking onto the Patreon account, guys. If you fancy some extra content, we've got an interview with an American-based journalist who's going to give us a little bit more meat on the bone for Brenden Aaronson. So make sure you check that out in the Patreon link below as well. So here we go. West Ham have pulled out of the Calvin Phillips deal. Wow. Shocking. So yeah, it's no disrespect to West Ham, but I just, listen, is it a sideways step? I'd probably say it is, as much as Everton is. And that's just purely on the basis that I think there is going to be a level where if Leeds United are progressing at the rate that they say they are, or they say they want to, I should say, and they're going to be investing as much as maybe I believe they're going to. And, you know, with the standard that they've set already with Brenden Aaronson in this window, you feel that there's going to be a lot of meticulous but rigorous changes. So I don't really see West Ham as that next step up at all for Calvin Phillips. We've seen this with West Ham before as well, when David Gold and Sullivan, of the owners of West Ham, have essentially just put a player's name in there or players' names in there to just get some clicks, essentially, and just for it to look like to the media that they're doing things that they're not actually doing. I remember in January when they allegedly put 120 million, 130 million in for Rafinha and Calvin Phillips. That just was not a thing. It just was not a thing. So that's definitely to take into consideration. They seem to have pulled out of this Calvin Phillips deal pretty early. Whether or not it's because it's the same process, it's just a media-based rumour, or whether or not they've seen maybe a Manchester City or Leeds' intention to keep him and drive up the price, and they've just left it. But yeah, they pulled out of the deal. It looks like they're going towards James Ward-Prowse. But I think the thing that we need to understand with Calvin Phillips is that if this is something that's going to happen, which I do think it will, I only think this will happen with Calvin Phillips if it's Manchester City. I think it's Man City or bust for Calvin. I don't think Villa, Everton, West Ham, where Leeds want to be, where Leeds, I think, are going to grow. I think we're going to hopefully be competing with these clubs. I think when you look at different stratospheres of football and something he might not be able to get, well, he won't be able to get in his career with Leeds United, when it comes to footballer clubs, when it comes to football achievements, it's going to be Man City, it's going to be Liverpool. So I understand those two clubs, but I just don't think it'll ever happen with clubs on the same level of us, especially with a lad who was born in the area, who loves Leeds. That it just wouldn't make much sense for me. So I think the key thing to note here as well is that Leeds need to start planning, and I think they have. From what I've been reading over the past couple of days, they are planning for the eventuality of Calvin Phillips leaving the football club. Is he replaceable? Of course he is. Everybody's replaceable. And I think in this Jesse Marsch system, I thought he was brilliant against Brentford. But I think I called this and I got hammered for it. I got hammered for it on the debrief. You know, I did. It was clipped. It was sent towards me. Connor, you said this. Why on earth are you saying this about Calvin Phillips? Got a bit of flack on the show as well. I thought he was going to struggle to adapt to this system, and he did initially. And I don't think we're going to be playing that width. The distribution is not going to be there for Calvin long term. So I think he will struggle. So stock's high. I'm not saying we need to sell him on or we should sell him on, but I'm okay with selling him on in a Jesse Marsch system in comparison to selling him on in a Marcelo Bielsa system, especially when Man City are coming along. So we'll have to wait and see with that, but Leeds United have got a plan ahead. Jack Harrison causing a lot of controversy on the social waves at the minute, in the YouTube waves. This is really interesting. Newcastle, as I've told you guys the last 2 days, have been interested in acquiring his services, whatever happens with Jack Harrison, in terms of he might stay in the Premier League, he might go down to the Championship. Newcastle don't care. They're going to go for him, as they're doing with Dean Henderson at the minute at Manchester United. They don't care what his situation is, who's in for him. They're going to go for him. And I think Newcastle are deploying a really aggressive strategy in this transfer window, as it looks like Aston Villa are, as I think Leeds United should. But there's a new club thrown into the mix. It's Everton. And whilst a lot of you might scoff, laugh, and all this sort of stuff at Everton, there is a link there from New York with Frank Lampard and Jack Harrison. So whether or not Lampard would be able to convince Jack Harrison to come, there is an argument that they would 100% be able to offer him more money. But there is an argument as well that they are going to have to stump up an incredible transfer fee to prize Jack Harrison away from Leeds United. He's less than 12 months into his deal at Leeds United, which almost comprises of around £20 million when you look at the initial fee, bonuses, wages, all encapsulated into one transfer. I think it's going to be a lot for Everton to weigh up, really, especially with their current financial predicament, especially with the eyes of the world on Everton's financial dealings. But the link does make sense with Jack Harrison and Frank Lampard obviously having that connection from before. But yeah, I just don't see any legs in that one. So, alongside the Jack Harrison rumours, the Telegraph are reporting as well, which I find interesting this morning, that he is weighing up his options, which that's not an outright no. I'm not 100% saying that's not predictable. I think Jack was always going to be weighing up his options. There is definitely a likelihood that Leeds don't finish above 14th next season. And that is, I'm not saying there isn't a likelihood that Leeds do finish above 14th. That could happen as well. But there is, I would be okay with a 13th, 14th place finish next year and then just keep gradually building. That is my mindset. I'm not going to be coming on here and saying we're going to be going for Europe again, like I know some fans will be. But you're going to have to weigh up your options if you're getting clubs like Newcastle coming in for you, clubs like Spurs looking at you. And I think he's really got to consider what his options are. And according to the Telegraph this morning, he is weighing up his options. So that's definitely going to be interesting. Thing that leads a lot of Brenden Aaronson, potentially moving Dan James into a central role. Leeds probably aren't going to be looking at those wide options anymore, which I've said before. So yeah, definitely ones to consider there. Moving on to another winger, Rafinha. As we know, it looks like he wants to be leaving Leeds United, according to Sport and Marca. He has handed in a transfer request, but alongside that, apparently he has now told close friends that he wants to leave to join Barcelona. Now, this is understandably a huge move for any player, but it's a huge move. Ronaldo, Ronaldinho come to mind. This is an elite club for Brazilian football to footballers to really flourish, and there's so much historical context there. So I understand that. I think anybody who's sane would want to go to Barcelona, and we're not going to stand in his way there. But I keep saying it, and I keep emphasizing Leeds United have to get the maximum valuation for him. I don't care about Serginho Dest coming to Leeds United. If you want that to be a separate transfer, that's fine. I personally wouldn't go for Serginho Dest. I think there's better out there. I think when you look at 25 million quid for a right back who is slightly lightweight, who is quite injury prone, and is someone who is more luxury, that's how I see Serginho Dest. I think when we're looking at out and out proper fullbacks, there are who have a real stability and are going to be ever present throughout the season. I think that is probably the line I would go through. I think a lot of people are looking at Serginho Dest and maybe haven't watched Serginho Dest, maybe don't know the background of Serginho Dest. I'm not 100% sure that's the right way to go for, but there's a lot of chat at the minute about Leeds being interested in him. Now, if we are interested in him, that's going to be used as leverage for Barcelona. If Leeds are going out there and saying, look, we'd be really interested in Serginho Dest, maybe not the centre-back that was offered, but for Serginho Dest, Barca are going to use that to their advantage to really leverage that against the Rafinha deal. We cannot lower the value for Rafinha. It would be insanity. I don't care if we get Brenden Aaronson done. I don't care if we get another 2 done, including a striker. You cannot lower the value of this guy. The transfer fee for this man should be near on 65 million. So Victor Orta cannot balls this up, basically. This needs to be a top valuation. If they can't afford him, bye-bye. You can come back for him in January if you want to be serious. But we are not here to help Barcelona. We are here. We are a business. We are a football club. We are here to maximize the value of an asset, which is what every business is about. Listen, Rafinha's done great. I saw a tweet yesterday saying he's done great and Leeds are blocking the move. No, we're not blocking the move. We're not blocking the move at all. We don't want to be mugged off by one of the world's best clubs, which is something that you see consistently. They try and mug people off all the time. They mug, agents off. They try and mug clubs off, mug players off. Mug fans off. I'm just not. I just can't abide by that. You have got to get your maximum value. We've plucked him up. You didn't pluck him up. We plucked him up for 18 million. He's done incredibly well for us. We've molded him into the player that he is today. He's got into the Brazilian squad through us. We should be maximizing his value. We don't care about Barcelona. I don't care if Barcelona are upset by it. We will not. Do not get bullied, Victor Orta. Do not get bullied. I've mentioned this on a video, but it'll really peeve me off if we sell him on and get Serginho Dest and we get a 35 million euro in from. Allegedly, they're offering 35 million euros for this guy. They're the jokers. They're absolute jokers. Moving on to another bit of conversation as well. Cody Drame. I've seen a lot online saying that Marsh had a conversation with him and this should be something that Leeds look into next season. We've got to be really careful with this because this can't be something where Leeds are looking at and thinking, you know what, we can start Cody Drame and bring in a Calvin Ramsey. It's almost like that youth stuff that we've had when it comes to the goalkeepers. I'm not saying that it needs to be an experienced head and a top quality addition, but I think there needs to be some years on maybe one of the right backs. I don't think it can be an 18-year-old and a 19-year-old, let's say Cody Drame and Calvin Ramsey. I think it's got to be a little bit more. You've got to have a little bit more experience in there. And you know, I guess that's why people are looking at maybe a Dest. But I think, you know, if I understand that Cody Drame has had a bit of a rough ride. I get that, but I just don't think it's going to work at Leeds United. I also don't think if we're looking at that, I think Cody Drame, without any disrespect, I think a Norwich coming back up to the Premier League, that's sort of a Sam Byram-esque move. You know, we'll play Sam Byram because we can't get anybody else in and we'll give him a go. I know it's a completely different scenario, different space, but I think the quality of Cody Drame may line up with someone like Sam Byram in the Premier League, injury-free, of course. So what I'm trying to say is I don't know whether or not we're talking about leveling up. We're talking about that next level of expectation standards. I don't know if Cody Drame is going to be able to fit that mold. You know, we've had him on loan at Cardiff for a season. He's done really well. I've been the one to come on here and say, you know, how brilliant he's done. He maybe needs to be given a go, but as a secondary right back, that's how I would be looking at it. I've said that maybe he could be a starter, but that's when I'm comparing him to Luke Ayling. That's how low the bar is now. I put Robin Koch at right back over Luke Ayling. Luke Ayling, I love him, but he needs to be phased out. So for me, yeah, Drame should be there for me, but as a backup. And if he doesn't want that, he can move on. And then it's up to the club to fix that problem. So, guys, next on the room mill, it is an income. And we've spoken about outgoings. We've spoken about topics. We've spoken about all this sort of stuff. But what I want to discuss now is the incomings. It is going to be Luca Ivana Cech. So, Luca Ivana Cech is a player for Dynamo Zagreb. Allegedly, Leeds United inquired about this guy in January, but apparently it fell apart. But Leeds have looked at a potential obligation to get this guy in the summer. There is interest still there. He's an attacking midfielder. He's explosive. He's dynamic. He's a 100% fits the mold for a counter presser. And we're just going to have a quick look at him right now. But it is interesting. Only 23 years of age. He's got a decent backup as well when it comes to what he's been up to this season in terms of numbers. But as you can see here, guys, 23 years of age, attacking midfield, 27 appearances, 3 goals, 5 assists. He's attracted quite a bit of interest as well in the media outlets across Croatia, and a little bit versatile here as well. Can play, you know, if we're playing a 4-2-3-1, he can play on the left, he can play on the right, but primarily he's in the central space. One of his key attributes, allegedly, is his pressing. He's got bundles of energy, according to several sites. But yeah, he looks like a decent prospect, and he's already made his debut as well for the Croatian national side. So that's definitely something to keep an eye on there, everybody. But that's going to be that for this episode of The Room Mill. Thank you so much for joining. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe as always, guys, and I'll see you in a bit. Cheers.